You send a text. It says, delivered. Then nothing. 10 minutes pass. Your chest tightens. You start rereading what you wrote, looking for something you might have said wrong. Nothing happened. No one is angry. No danger exists anywhere in this situation, and your body is treating it like an emergency anyway. Here's the part that should bother you. You know it's irrational. You could explain calmly to a friend that a delayed reply means nothing, and none of that logic slows your heartbeat down by even a little. So the real question isn't why anxiety feels so intense, it's why your body reacts this strongly to something that, by any reasonable measure, isn't dangerous at all. To understand that, we have to stop treating anxiety like a malfunction, because it isn't one. It's a system that used to work perfectly, built for a world that, for almost all of human history, actually was full of real, immediate threats. Picture your ancestor, tens of thousands of years ago, walking through tall grass. A sound comes from somewhere off to the side. Could be wind, could be a predator. There's no time to investigate calmly. There's no time to gather more information. The cost of being wrong in one direction, assuming it's nothing when it's actually a threat, is death. The cost of being wrong in the other direction, assuming danger when it's actually nothing, is a few wasted seconds of tension. Evolution doesn't optimize for accuracy, it optimizes for survival. And when the two possible mistakes carry wildly different costs, the smart bet is obvious. Assume danger, every time, even when you're probably wrong. An ancestor who froze at every rustling sound, heart pounding, ready to run, paid a small, repeated cost in false alarms. An ancestor who stayed calm and rational, waiting for solid proof of danger before reacting, paid the ultimate cost exactly once. You are descended entirely from the first kind. Every single one of your ancestors, going back hundreds of thousands of years, was anxious enough, often enough, to survive long enough to have children. The calm, unbothered ones didn't get that chance nearly as often. Anxiety isn't a flaw in your design. It's the single most successful strategy your ancestors ever ran. This explains something that seems strange at first. Why anxiety triggers so easily and so often incorrectly. A smoke detector that only goes off during an actual fire, but occasionally misses a real one, is a badly designed smoke detector. A smoke detector that goes off constantly, burnt toast, steam from a shower, a bit of dust, but never once misses a real fire, is functioning exactly as intended, even though it feels like it's wrong most of the time. Your anxiety system is that second kind of smoke detector. It's built to fire on the slightest hint of possible danger, accepting a high rate of false alarms because missing one real threat could have ended everything. Evolution didn't build you a system that's usually right. It built you a system that's never fatally wrong. Now here's where it gets interesting, because your ancestors' threats and your modern triggers share almost nothing in common, except the exact biological response they produce. The amygdala, the small almond-shaped structure sitting deep in your brain, doesn't distinguish between a predator crouched in the grass and an unread message sitting on a screen. Both register as something uncertain, something unresolved, possible threat, respond now. Your heart rate climbs, your muscles tense, your attention narrows to a single point, unable to think clearly about anything else. That response was built for a physical threat you could run from or fight. It has nowhere to go when the threat is a notification, a deadline, or a silence you can't explain. Your ancestors' anxiety had a clear resolution. The rustling in the grass turned out to be wind, or it turned out to be real. Either way, within seconds or minutes, the uncertainty ended, and the body's alarm state switched back off. Modern anxiety often has no such resolution point. The email might get answered in 10 minutes or 3 days. The health symptom might get an answer at a doctor's appointment 2 weeks from now. Your ancient alarm system fires just as hard either way, but it was never built to stay switched on for days. It was built for threats that resolved fast, one way or the other, within the length of a single encounter in tall grass. There's a second layer to this worth understanding, because not all anxiety looks the same and the differences matter. Fear responds to something specific and present, the growl, the shadow, the edge of a cliff. It's sharp, immediate, and tied to a clear object. Anxiety is different. It's the system running in anticipation mode, scanning for threats that haven't happened yet, might never happen, and often can't even be clearly named. Something might go wrong is a much harder problem for a brain to resolve than something is currently going wrong, because there's no clear signal telling the system it's safe to stand down. For your ancestors, this anticipatory scanning made enormous sense in specific circumstances, before a hunt with real physical risk, while sleeping in a location that hadn't been checked for predators, during unstable seasons when food scarcity was a genuine possibility. The scanning had a job. Stay alert during periods of genuine, elevated risk, then relax once the specific risk passed. The problem is that the modern world manufactures an almost unlimited supply of vague, unresolved, low-grade uncertainties. Job security, social approval, health, finances, world events, each one enough to keep the scanning system engaged, with no clear moment where the all-clear signal is allowed to sound. This is also why social anxiety specifically hits as hard as physical danger once did, and it isn't a coincidence. For most of human history, being rejected by your group wasn't a bruised ego. It was, quite literally, a threat to survival. A person cast out of the tribe lost access to shared food, collective defense against predators, and the cooperation needed to survive harsh seasons. Alone, without the protection of the group, an ancestor's odds of survival dropped sharply. So the brain evolved to treat social rejection, disapproval, and embarrassment with nearly the same urgency as a physical predator, because in the environment that shaped us, it effectively was one. That's why an awkward silence in a conversation, a joke that doesn't land, or a message left on read can trigger a genuine physiological alarm response. Flushed face, racing heart, an overwhelming urge to leave the situation. Your brain isn't overreacting to a trivial social moment. It's running the exact threat response protocol built for a genuine, historically fatal event: exclusion from the group that kept you alive. None of this stays purely mental. Chronic anxiety has a real, measurable cost on the body, because the alarm system was never designed to stay active for extended periods. The stress response, elevated cortisol, increased heart rate, heightened blood pressure, muscles primed for action, is enormously effective for short bursts. It sharpens focus, speeds reaction time, and prepares the body for immediate physical effort. But it was built assuming the activation would be brief, minutes, maybe an hour, followed by resolution and recovery. When the modern world keeps that system activated for days, weeks, or months at a time because the underlying uncertainty never resolves, the body pays a price it was never designed to absorb. Disrupted sleep, digestive issues, suppressed immune function, a near constant low hum of exhaustion that never fully lifts because the system responsible for recovery keeps getting interrupted by the next uncertain email, the next ambiguous comment, the next open loop that never quite closes. You're not weak for feeling drained by this. You're running a system built for occasional sprints, forced into what amounts to a permanent, low-grade marathon. So why doesn't understanding all of this make the anxiety switch off? Because the alarm system doesn't wait for your permission, and it doesn't check with the reasoning part of your brain before firing. The amygdala responds to a perceived threat in a fraction of a second, faster than conscious thought can even form a sentence about whether the threat is real. Your prefrontal cortex, the part capable of reasoning, "this is probably nothing," only gets involved afterward, trying to talk down a body that's already fully activated. That's an uphill argument by design. You're not failing to think your way out of it fast enough. You're simply outpaced by a system that had to be fast, every single time, for hundreds of thousands of years, because slow was fatal. There's one more piece worth understanding because it reframes the entire relationship you have with this feeling. Anxiety, in its original form, was never the enemy. It was the ally that kept your ancestors alive long enough to have descendants at all. Every ancestor who ever froze, scanned, worried, or felt that tightening sense of unease at the wrong rustle in the grass was doing exactly what needed to be done in that moment. The individuals who felt nothing, who stayed perfectly relaxed regardless of circumstance, simply aren't your ancestors. They didn't survive long enough, or often enough, to pass anything forward. What's changed isn't the system, it's the target. The same alert, protective mechanism that once scanned a physical landscape for predators is now scanning an inbox, a group chat, a set of test results, a bank balance, all at once, all the time, with no clear moment of resolution built into any of it. The system hasn't malfunctioned. It's simply never been told that most of what it's watching for today can't actually hurt you the way a predator once could. You're not broken for feeling anxious about things that, rationally, you know aren't dangerous. You're carrying a perfectly functional alarm system, inherited from ancestors who needed it to fire fast and often, now aimed at a world made almost entirely of slow-moving, ambiguous, unresolved uncertainty. The exact kind of threat that system was never built to handle gracefully. The tightness in your chest after sending that message wasn't a glitch. It was 200,000 years of ancestors, all of whom survived specifically because they felt exactly that kind of discomfort at exactly the wrong moment, reminding you, generation after generation, to stay alert. It just hasn't learned yet that most of what you're waiting for was never a predator at all.